This is my gripe with the story of Boaz. Hello, good people. Coach Danita here with another Tidbit Tuesday. There was this woman in the Bible that a lot of us single gals refer to as the blessed one, and God just kind of put her in some rich man's way, and lo and behold, he fell for her and they got married. The story is really about a young lady who was married before and lost everything. That's equivalent to not only becoming a widow, but also being stuck with your mother-in-law, going completely bankrupt, basically destitute. You have no status in society at all, and you decide to follow your God-fearing mother-in-law wherever she's going. And then essentially it's almost as if they're on welfare, basically waiting around for scraps until they're done working just to go by in secret and pick up what they've left over. Not a glamorous starting point. Mother-in-law didn't say anything about, hey, that man is fine over there. You need to go ahead and put yourself in front of him. No, it was a strategic move to get out of poverty. She was basically being guided by an older, wiser woman. We don't even want to listen to our own mothers, let alone somebody else's mama, telling us what to do as a woman, teaching us how to be a wife, teaching us how to save up for our future. A lot of us don't want to be mentored at all. We don't want to be showed the way. She didn't know what she was doing out there in that field, but she had someone to guide her and to show her the way and give her step by step. Listen, this is how you set up an asset for yourself. During that time in society, that was a woman's best shot at getting some type of status in the world. So we need to be careful when we claim we want a Boaz. We shouldn't really be looking at Boaz as the fairy tale knight in shining armor. He didn't necessarily rescue Ruth because she was so beautiful. He only saw her while she was in her vulnerable state. And she didn't even know how to do that to the point where he paid attention to her until after she paid attention to mentorship. So there are several levels there that we don't necessarily talk about. We just like the idea, the piece of the story that lines up with the fairy tale. The whole knight in shining armor rescuing a damsel in distress. So we're okay with living in distress. We're okay with not having a lot of ambition, because the thought is eventually the way this thing turns out is that my success is going to come from a man who has it all together, who's going to rescue me. The aspect of the story with Ruth and Boaz that we probably can take from today is learning how to listen to mentorship, learning how to pay attention to those who've gone before us. And if they're willing to pour back into you their wisdom and their know-how to help push you along, submit yourself to their wisdom. God does not have people go through things and share the wisdom for no reason. I sat up under my grandmother, my aunts, and my mom all the time listening to their stories. Have you ever visited the senior citizens home and paid attention to those little old ladies? They have a lot of truth to share. They've been through a lot. They've seen a lot. Also scripture that attests to the older women pouring into the younger women so we can get it better than they did. We're not going to be perfect, but there's a lot of heartache and pain that we could possibly avoid if we're able to listen to older, more wise women. There should be a level of honor and respect. And I'm sure Ruth was frightened with the whole process. Her initial response wasn't even about marriage. She didn't follow her mother-in-law because she wanted to get remarried. That wasn't her idea. She just thought about this faithful, godly woman that had a people of her own. There are women that God places in our lives that we should be paying attention to. They're trying to teach us something. The life of a woman is filled with a lot of complexity. Connecting with an older woman who's been through what you've been through, honoring her and respecting her and thanking her for her time can give you wisdom way beyond your years. So if you have a wise woman in your circle that you might not necessarily get along with all the time, but you know she carries wisdom, take her out for a meal. If you have questions, be vulnerable. Ask all the questions you want. Most of the women out here have been through a lot, and we can learn a lot from one another.